to get a W in the result.
Do you want to go? You can go. Me? I think it's always amazing playing in this rink, getting to do it last year, and just the energy again. I think I don't know if you consider it takeover tour game, but any large arena we've been in, it's just been so unreal, and I think we really feed off that energy. And like you said, it's really nice to get that W today. And yeah, it's been a tough, I think, few games for us, and getting it in overtime too, where maybe we haven't yet this year, I think was electric. And I have to, shout out the goal too that Sav had, I think, started us off, but the snipe.
Yeah, just incredibly fun game to be a part of. Kirky played incredible, I thought, and just fun to get back in the win column, especially in front of our fans here tonight. Like, it was a lot of fun.
Hi, Savannah from the Hockey News. This is for Raygan. You already said, like, it just feels good to win, like, period. Full stop. Can you just expand on that a little more? Like, you've been playing so well, and to get a goal and then an overtime win finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, especially a bit of a monkey on the back, I guess. I haven't won since our season opener. So it's been a while, and yeah, still maybe playing well, but not, it's just, yeah, it's a different feeling. It can be frustrating. You're not trying to focus on that, but just, yeah, really relieved to get it. And I think that'll just push us and give us confidence in the right direction going on this road trip now before the break.
For Savannah, the smile on your face when you got the goal, you could have lit up the entire arena. Was that more about it being a power play goal, or was that it being your first one?
It being a power play goal. Just, thankful to be able to help out the team, given the situation I was put in, and just excited to have our team get a power play goal. Honestly, was really excited for us.
What's it been like with the power play? Because you've been getting opportunities, it's just it hasn't been finished.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think proud of us for sticking with the process. Just keep trying to play the right way, and I think bounces are going to come, and I think we stuck with it, especially in the first period. I thought we had some really good looks, so it was just nice that we were able to capitalize on one.
Sharina with CBC Sports. Congratulations on the win. You were like on your head the last and the third, and I'm just wondering, keeping that intact, because very often staying in the game is because of the goaltending. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that in keeping that focus was until the third, because it got significantly more exciting in the second? How did you keep that focus?
Yeah, I think it's a big mental game as a goalie, and you have to find kind of cues or little tricks that work for you to stay engaged. I think playing the puck helps me a lot, and just even if it's just stopping the rim for the D, just kind of keeps your heart rate up for sure. And you kind of have a feeling it's gonna come. Like, we push, they push. And you have to be there to bail out your team when they're pushing back, kind of thing.
Well, I was just going to ask almost around the same question. She was asking for a rating. Sorry, Madsen newcomer, etc. I was going to say, again, Vancouver had a lot of strong pushes late, especially in the third. What allowed you, I guess, to stay very composed defensively, and when the pressure was at its ultimate highest at the end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I just tell myself kind of that last 5 minutes, like, these matter the most, especially when it's tied 1-1. I think they were really pushing not to go into OT, and maybe we had, I don't know if we had the mindset of, like, let's just get it to overtime. So that mindset shift can happen, and yeah, just a bit of action finally, I guess, for me in the game, after the first period especially, but that's when it's most fun for you too. So.
What can you guys say just about special teams overall, especially in the first period, and then again in the third period? There were a lot of penalties on both sides.
Yeah, I think, it is a big energy shift. I think helps bring a lot of energy to our 5-on-5, and especially I think when we successfully kill penalties too, I think that also helps the overall team, just the game, and helps us get going on the next shift after once it's even.
Raygan, when you only have, talked about how you stay within the game, but when you only face 4 in the first, I'm just curious for goaltenders, do you like seeing a lot of action or getting peppered early? Do you like it as a way to get in, or does it feel like at any point in the game you're just in that zen state of
yeah, I think just taking after experience, like I've had both games I've been in Mash's side where you're getting those 20 pucks. Those are probably the ones you prefer. But I think, yeah, getting those short ones are just as important. And I had a lot of that in college and kind of learned from that and built off of it. And you're just wanting to make those big saves and keeping in it and just using those cues kind of that I talked about before, and a lot of self-talk. I guess that's where the goalies get their weird thing maybe from. But and just the energy kind of helped me stay in it as well. So.
Raygan, earlier you mentioned just kind of the personal losing streak that you had a few games since the team had picked up a win with you. And then how do you balance the team result at the end of the day versus your own performance? Because there are plenty of games where a goaltender can have a great game and come out on the losing side.
Yeah. I think just, experience as well, kind of having that in college as well, being in 2 different programs. I think for me, you just have to take the little wins and you have to watch film with an open mindset and just kind of focus on practice and the little things that you can do. A lot of it's just like taking care of what you can control, like do my job, and not in a selfish way, but just like that's all you can focus on is one puck at a time. And we're working to get those bounces. We're working on the power play, like it's going to come. So.
And how did last year's start in this rank help for this year?
Yeah, I think I knew kind of the rink more and knew the environment more. Last time it was really just finding out kind of the night before, and now, using that experience from last year's has just helped me a lot, and knowing kind of whatever game number this might be for me this year compared to where I was last year. I think I just have a lot more confidence in playing in the girls. I think girls in front of me have a lot more confidence in me this year, so that's helped a lot too.
Mike and then
One more for Raygan. Did the quality of the chances, you didn't get as many, you've had bigger shot totals, but the quality of the chances tonight, was this more tonight than you've had in the
I think so, yeah. There was quite a few like odd man rushes and kind of those in tight plays too, you could say. I think their power play moves it around well. Boston kind of was similar, and we had just played and not really practiced in between. You kind of try and ride that feeling and watch film. We hadn't played Vancouver before, which is kind of crazy to say, and now we're heading out there. So you're just kind of building and learning off of it and just trying to stay sharp when I can. So.
Savannah, you had a season high 5 shots tonight. Do you feel that after you score the goal, do you have, like, are you more inclined to take more chances? Like, whether it's a pinch or whether it's taking a shot at the net, or where you feel like it's just, like there's more confidence with you trying to push forward?
It definitely helps, but I think just trying to, play that way all the time, and the style that this group plays and we're able to play is pretty aggressive, and our D are so skilled back there, and I think just trying to get a lot of shots through is kind of a very big, like, positive of our group, and like an asset that we all have. So yeah, a bit of both, but I think just trying to stick with that game plan all along, but definitely helps a little bit of confidence for sure.
Thanks. I just want to ask either one, what's been said in between these games? Like a couple of really tight losses where goals are just so hard to come by, but the start was fantastic. So there's obviously been some positive energy injected. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I think just a lot of reflection within the group, a lot of, just nailing down the way we want to play and sticking to it, and being able to work on our starts and coming out like we did today. I think, being able to do that for a full 60 minutes, we're still working towards, and I think every day is a step forward, and I think this group, we have a great group in there, and I think everyone's willing to, dig in, and we're not satisfied if we're not living up to our standards. So I think that's what's really exciting, and I like it, staying positive, like I said, and just sticking with the process, I think, honestly.
Nice to end the 4-game drought, obviously. Yeah, nice. Thought Kirk played really well. Nice to get a power play goal. And also nice to get that overtime one. We've struggled at times in overtime, so yeah.
First of all, Coach, great win there. Raygan stood tall all game, obviously, and especially in the third period there at the end. How much confidence, I guess, does this give the team knowing that you can rely on her in moments like this?
Yeah, I'm really happy for Kirky. Like, she's played, fairly well all year. And, I think our captain, Blair Turnbull, said it best in the dressing room. She's just like, it's so nice that, Kirky can have a good game and we can find a way to get, at least 2 points. It would have been nice to have 3. And, just Kirky deserves to get some of those wins. So I think we're very happy for her. Love to see her make some big saves, though, to keep us in it late.
Shrina, CBC Sports, congrats,
Oh,
Troy,
thank you.
on this. I have a question about, the players, Kirky talked about the mental piece. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, because you're still PW season, but you're going to have to shift really soon. When do you think you're going to shift, or while they're playing and you're out there? Because some of the other players, like Mash and Nursey, will be playing for you in a couple of weeks under different circumstances. When does that shift happen for you?
Yeah, I think I've just been so used to my entire career, although not at the professional women's level and not at the Olympic level always, but My entire career as a coach, I've either worked with my club team and then either worked with a provincial team or a national team or a regional team. So I've just always been used to, it's sort of, honestly, it's like 27, 28 years. I think every year I've ever coached, I've coached 2 teams. So I'm kind of used to it. You just, you have to manage your time, obviously, really wisely. You have to pick times and honestly schedule it so you're working on some Hockey Canada stuff when you get a little bit of free time from the Toronto Sceptres. But I think the difference is with the national team right now, you used to have a centralization. You used to be together for 8 months leading up to the Olympics. You don't have that. So learning a little bit of what they've done more on the men's side to prepare, it's truly a short-term event now. So we get a lot of time together. You do a little bit of work as a coaching staff behind the scenes, and then you just shift as you transition and go. We have a little pre-comp camp in Switzerland before we go, so a lot of the focus will shift to that. And then, honestly, at the end of the Olympics, on the way back, you got to shift back to Toronto. So it's just what I've been doing all my life.
Marsha, Third Intermission Podcast. In the past, you've mentioned complacency with your players, especially after big losses in competition. That mindset that you've just mentioned, being able to switch back and forth, is that the same thing that you expect with your players as they play PDub and moving over to that Hockey Canada, especially with not so much time in between to play together?
Yeah, I think a lot of players wouldn't get themselves to the point of being a professional women's hockey player, being a national team player if they weren't relatively well at dealing the pressures that come with being a high performance athlete for 2 different teams. So they manage it very well. We support them as much as we can. They have a ton of support from a lot of NPCs that they work with. And honestly, that's a lot of times what makes them so special, that they're able to shift back and forth from team to team. I think no matter what, you're human. So as those player selections drew near, I think there's a little extra heightened attention that gets put on that. But I think you see it at all different levels. When teams are being selected for national team, you just see a lot of people's shoulders drop when player selections are actually final. And I think you saw it not just with Hockey Canada and our national team, but all the different national teams. Once those player selections were made and the rosters were finalized, you just see a lot of players relax a little bit more. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Question about your power play. You mentioned in the past about getting a bunch of opportunities and then leading to the success. That sort of worked out for you tonight. Is that what you thought was the key to this one?
Yeah. I mean, hockey is honestly so funny. So we've worked with some power play units. Originally, we kind of had 1 unit we loaded up on. Then we split it up into 2. Tonight, we didn't even tell them what their power play units were going to be until about maybe an hour before the game. 1 unit, we had a general plan for them. The other unit, we gave them a whiteboard and told them there was a room with 4 or 5 chairs in it, and go sort it out. Figure out what breakouts you want to do. Figure out what setup you want to do. So they had probably a 5 or 10 minute meeting, get on the same page, and then and although that seems like not coaching, you're actually trying to coach. You're trying to give them some ownership in it. Any players are going to do a lot more when they have a little bit of autonomy. They have a little bit of ownership. They got a little bit of buy-in. It's tough for them to complain about our breakout or our power play setup if they've designed it. So I thought they did great. I think both power play units, we were comfortable putting either one out. So based on the previous shifts, we were able to make adjustments, and they did a good job.
Whiteboard group, I think.
We had Turnbull's group was, so it was Shelton and Fast were with the other group. A little bit more structure. That's sort of our version of loading it up. It's funny how the unit finds a way to score.
Hi, Savannah from the Hockey News. There are 2 things that were noticeable, and maybe it's the same thing. So can you tell me about the little habits and the little details and those board battles that seemed like there was a lot more of them going your way, and the level of compete was higher? Now, are those the same thing? Because that looked like that was a lot different tonight than in past games.
Yeah, I think you can even see a little shift from like an Ella Shelton and a Renata Fast and how they're playing D zone. Um, we've been working on something in the defensive zone that takes a little bit of thinking, but um, the good thing we got stuck a little extra time in Boston, so we had some quality time together as a group. We met with the D core, like the 7D that were there, ironed out a few things, tried to give some clarity to just because we're doing something different, it doesn't mean you can't do it with aggression and physicality. So it's almost like, they had an opportunity to ask them some questions. I got to clarify a few things, and then they get to play a little bit more free because there's clarity. And I think someone like Renata is just, she's taken that D core right now on her shoulders and saying, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to be physical. Ella Shelton's doing the same thing. And the rest, although they're great players, they're just naturally going to follow that. And then a lot of the thing was just sorting out a little bit of the low forward with the D and how aggressive they're going to be. So just giving them permission. I'd rather pull them back than have to keep pushing them forward. So we want to be an aggressive team, and we'll live with the results that come with that.
We're going to try to get through as many as possible for bringing the other group in. So we'll go Courtney to Melissa and Hunter.
In her conference, nurse had said that she was comfortable on the face-off, having previously known Toronto's face-off a bit. I'm wondering, when there is a lot of movement between teams, when you're playing against players that were previously so familiar with the ins and outs of your team, how does that sort of change strategy in game?
Yeah, it's interesting, but it doesn't change it a lot. Like, I even think from a coach point of view, I think good coaches will share what they're doing. They'll discuss it. They'll talk about tactics, concepts, all those things. You still, like, ultimately the players have to go execute it. So I don't think there's a ton of secrets in hockey. I think there's the odd surprise. There's the odd in-game adjustment, but I think the majority of teams in this league would be playing a very similar style, little tweaks here and there, and it's more about executing. So I think Sarah, a lot of that could be like some team tactics, but any good player knows how to manage the game, and they know individual tendencies on players as well. So I think Sarah, knowing some players pretty deep, would know how certain players may react in certain situations, but we also know how Sarah's going to act in certain situations, and we know some of her tendencies. So a lot of things are just, we like to say that anyway. It was great to see, obviously, like, we love to compete against people like that. I know our players would have been excited to play against Sarah. I know she would have been excited to play against us. But it's just great to see such an impactful player, getting to play in an impactful building. So nice to have her back.
Melissa Burgess from the Ice Garden. 2 questions, if I may. Brian Adolski called Daryl Watts elite. Obviously, she's shown that this season, but what can you say about her season and the OT goal tonight and just how much she's been for your team?
Yeah, it's a great way to describe her. She's a high-end talent, thinks the game offensively as well. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever called her elite, but I think it's probably a great way to describe her. The thing with Daryl, and a lot of great offensive players think this way. I think of like a Natalie Spooner, like those players just love to score. And it's sometimes a lot of times it's easy to find the other attributes, like maybe not as great defensively as some other players, but it's not that they're irresponsible defensively. They're driven to score goals and to create offense. And Daryl and I had a really good talk down in Boston as well, and the conversation was generally around players like that get frustrated when we're not scoring goals. So to me, it was like how you deal with your frustration is going to determine whether we find ways to score goals or not. So great player. I think she's learning more about the game, the broader part of the game. So I think if she continues to learn that side of it and matches it with her elite offensive ability and that passion to score and create offense, I think in time she'll become a really, really great player, all-around player.
And then obviously there's a lot of focus, understandably, on the players heading to the Olympics and your staff and everything. But can you just talk about what the expectation is during that time for your players who are not going to the Olympics? Because obviously, a lot of the players are, pretty much your whole staff is. Are they going to be able to skate together?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
go out on their own? What's the
No,
plan?
it's actually like we look at it as like everything. There's little moments in a season that are opportunities for you to get better, and we believe that's another opportunity to get better. We tried to do it during some international breaks. Like there's no break in that time. Like the league has mandatory week-long breaks for different teams at different points in the season. Obviously, we have an international break, but then for the Olympics, but our team actually has their break at that same time as well. So everybody will take a break after that Montreal game, but they'll get right back at it when we get back. And our staff has been really, really good for it. Like, so both of my assistant coaches will still be here. Rachel and Jim will both be here. They'll have a great plan. I actually think it's a good opportunity for those athletes. When you get, like a lot of the Olympians on different countries, they're obviously key players on their sport. So to get that one-on-one time and some small group time becomes really valuable. So we would never want to disregard that or think that that's not important time. It actually is sometimes the most important time in your season because, you know, like some of those players are some of the depth of your team, and anytime you get an opportunity to strengthen the depth of your team, you got to take advantage of that. So I actually find, like last year, I thought the first year I wasn't overly happy when I would leave and come back. I wasn't overly happy with our group. I found last year I was so happy to come back because I was so comfortable with what I knew was going on here. It just gave me a good feeling. And what happened was actually a few players kind of sensed the first year they weren't happy with it. So they voiced their opinions to me, which is a great learning thing for me to make sure that I can't just trust completely. We got to make sure we're planning properly. And we just learned from that mistake in the first year and we won't make it again.
Thank you.
Troy, I'm wondering when there's that moment where the officials are reviewing the Hannah Miller hit.
Yeah.
And there's this lull where it kind of takes the crowd out of it, and the players some are skating on the ice, they're trying to stay loose. What do you do as a coach? Are you trying to engage them and you're mapping out the power play regardless of whether it's minor or major, or you kind of give them a moment to kind of take a second, to take a beat, or what's that 5 minutes like?
Yeah, it can look differently based on where we're at in the game, what the situation is, but a lot of times you try to give them a little bit of a break, let them have some time to discuss things as, deep pairs and forward lines. In this particular situation, like we were trying to let them know our opinions on it as well. Like, I didn't personally believe that was going to be a major, so I didn't think we had to be necessarily thinking it was going to be a major. I thought it was an accidental contact. So we talked a little bit about that just so they're not sitting there all going in different directions with their opinion on the play. So you try to level it off, letting them know either way we're on the power play. So at this point in the season, Jim Midgley, one of my assistant coach, works with the power play. So a lot of times in those moments, I'll step back, give him time with the power play, and then I'll talk with other players. It's actually, I love those little moments. I hate them from a fan point of view because it does take the flow out of the game a little bit. You want them to hurry up. I thought at that point we probably could use the little bit of a break, so it gives me an opportunity to make some touch points with some of the athletes. So depending on the situation, there's usually a coach that will step up in those situations.
Scott Blaine, Humber, etc. Kind of building off of that later on in the second, you guys capitalize on the power play. About 30 seconds later, Vancouver answers right back. That's a moment in the game where you can kind of lose momentum and potentially it can end up being like a costly part of the game. But you guys end up getting your chances later in the period. Talk about what you say on the bench there after that quick answer from Vancouver and what allows you guys to continue pushing forward.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually like those moments are, if I have a pet peeve coaching, it's those, like we call them like 2-minute hockey shifts. Like when something, after a power play, after a penalty kill, start a period, end of a period, after a goal for, goal against, like all these little scenarios, they're huge momentum opportunities. And what you do with those minutes will determine your success or not. So honestly, there's a moment when that goal went in. I thought it started from maybe a failed breakout attempt that we had, a little bit of a breakdown. Maggie went out at the point coverage. I think she tried to block it, but it went through her leg. She probably didn't pressure enough, and then Nurse rolled off Shelton at the net front, got good position. Probably should have hit a box out, fast fronted, but didn't get good position on it. So it's a compound error situation. Those things sometimes can just really hurt a team. And what I thought negatively continued to happen is I thought our point coverage got bad from that moment on. And what happens is sometimes so Maggie goes out, a goal gets scored. So now no one wants that to happen to them. So instead of having the right mentality where you're going to go really aggressive to prevent that from happening, some people tend to get passive in that situation. I don't want this to happen to me, so I'm going to go passive. So a lot of times that's just a conversation. We can't let one situation derail at that point, a pretty good game for us. So stopping that momentum, trying to keep momentum on your side, that honestly is the whole game at any level. Don't care, men, women, kids, adults, pro or amateur. Like the momentum swings in a game are what make wins and losses.